For today's video, I'm going to tell you a story. The story is realistic fiction, and that means that everything in the story could have happened. So it's not about unicorns or magic spells, but it didn't actually happen. This story is about a 4-year-old boy who lives with his father, his mother, and his older sister. And one day the little boy was fighting with his sister. They were really loud. They were screaming at each other. They were hitting each other. And their mother came storming into the room and she pulled them apart. She was really mad and she said, "I am so sick of you two fighting with each other." She looked at the little girl and she said, "Your room is a mess. I want you to go upstairs and clean it." Now she turned to the little boy and said, "Go outside and pick up all the toys you left laying out in the yard. Dad wants to mow the lawn this weekend and he needs all of your toys gone first." The little boy went outside to the backyard, but he was too angry to start cleaning up his toys. He was mad at his sister because she started it. And he was mad at his mother because she punished him even though it was all his sister's fault. He was mad because he felt like everyone bosses him around and he never has any power to do what he wants. He was so mad that he was red in the face and he started kicking his toys and throwing rocks at the bushes. As he's having this temper tantrum, he notices that the neighbor's dog is loose and the dog is coming towards him. Now this is a really friendly dog and she decides that she's going to go over and say hello to the little boy. But the little boy is in such a bad mood that he doesn't want to see anyone. He doesn't want company. He doesn't want anyone coming by him. So he starts yelling at the little dog to go away. The dog doesn't understand the boy, so she keeps coming. She doesn't get that he wants her to go away. She thinks it's one big game. But the boy is angry because she's not listening to him, just like nobody else ever listens to him. So he starts to throw stones in her direction, and eventually one of those stones hits her. She yelps and she goes running back home. Now the little boy feels powerful because he made the dog go away because of his actions. He feels proud that he scared her and he feels proud that he made her run away, and it makes him feel very powerful. The next day the little boy is in the backyard again because he didn't clean up his toys from the day before and he was sent out to do it. Now in the backyard of this house there's a very large tree. This tree is home to many birds, but also it's home to a mother squirrel who has a nest way high up in the tree with babies. These babies aren't old enough to feed themselves, so the mother squirrel spent a lot of time running up and down the tree taking food up to her babies. The little boy sees the mother squirrel and he remembers how powerful he felt when he was able to make the dog go away, and he thinks, "I bet I can make that squirrel go away too." So the little boy starts throwing rocks at the squirrel, and one of the rocks hits her. Now, because it was a big rock and the squirrel was so small, she didn't get up because the rock killed her. Now remember, baby animals depend on their mother to take care of them, and those baby squirrels are the same. And they didn't have anyone that could take care of them anymore now that the mom squirrel was dead. And so they didn't have anything to eat, and unfortunately, eventually the baby squirrels died too. But the little boy wasn't thinking about that because he was feeling powerful at having thrown a rock that killed the mother squirrel. So after making the dog go away and after killing the mom squirrel, the rest of the summer the boy continued to practice bullying and animal abuse anytime he had a chance. And we know that when we practice something, we get really good at it. That fall, the little boy turned 5 years old and he entered kindergarten. And the little boy continued to practice bullying. He calls the other kids names, he pinches them, he hits them, he ruins their artwork and he ruins their worksheets, he takes toys away from them. And because he's practicing bullying, the other kindergartners stay away from him. They don't like him. They don't trust him. And now the little boy doesn't have any friends. Because he doesn't have any friends and he's not a very happy kid, the boy continues to practice bullying through the 1st grade. He practices it in the 2nd, the 3rd, the 4th, and the 5th grades, which means he gets really good at being a bully. Despite the fact that the boy was now very good at bullying and he felt powerful over a lot of the other kids in the class, he wasn't a very happy person. He didn't have any friends. He felt sad. He felt angry all the time. And in 5th grade, he thought maybe if he did something really big, he could get the other kids to respect him more. But remember, fear and respect are not the same thing. So this little boy didn't understand that. He thought, make them afraid and they'll respect him, even though he was misguided. So the boy thinks and thinks and tries to come up with something that will be big enough to make everyone be afraid of him. And he finally gets it. So he starts to brag that he's going to bring a knife to school, and it makes him feel really powerful and really good when he sees how scared all the other kids get when he says this. Now, some of the kids are too frightened to do anything about it. They're worried that if they tell someone, the boy will find out and go after them. But one of the kids was worried that if the boy did bring a knife to school, somebody might get really hurt. So he found courage and he told one of the teachers. Courage means that you do the right thing even if it's scary. The teacher called the boy's parents, and the boy's parents came to pick him up at school, and he never did have an opportunity to bring a knife to school. Take a minute and think about what would have happened to the boy if nobody had told on him. And what would have happened if he continued to bully in 5th grade? What would he be like in middle school, in high school? What would he be like as an adult? I'll give you a minute to think about that. So let's go back to the beginning of the story. We're going to go back to just after the fight the boy had with his sister. It's right after he's been sent outside to clean up his toys, and he's really angry. He's kicking his toys, he's throwing rocks at the bushes. But we're going to go back to before the dog wanders over to say hi. So he just walked outside. Now, pretend that you're the next door neighbor to this boy, and you look over and you see him having a temper tantrum in his yard. Is there a core value that you could practice to help this little boy and prevent him from learning how to bully? So let's think about which of the core values we've talked about that you could use in this situation to change this boy's behavior. Remember, we had responsibility, compassion and humane, self-control, and integrity. I'm going to give you a little bit of time to think about it. Now, if you were thinking about compassion and humane, I would agree with you, and maybe even showing some self-control, because when you see somebody having a temper tantrum, I think maybe your first thought is to go over and yell at them. But if you decide to do compassion and humane, then you're probably showing some self-control too. How can you practice compassion and humane to make a difference for this boy who is so angry in his backyard? Sometimes doing a small action can make a big difference and change someone's life. Would you rather feel powerful because you scared people? Or would you like to feel powerful because you practiced core values?